Before I begin, I want to say two things. Number one, Remnant 2 is amazing. I love this game. 450 hours played. It's a fantastic time. Highly recommend. Number two, it's cold in Texas, so I'm wearing this. Now it's been said, let's go and talk about affixes and modifiers for bosses, which I believe to be very unenjoyable, and they don't bring any meaningful difficulty. It's arbitrary through and through. And the solution, in my mind, out the gate, is to give players the option to turn them on or turn them off without having to sacrifice playing on a harder difficulty, in this case, a meaningful one. I like playing Apocalypse. I do not mind bosses one-shotting me. I don't mind the bosses having more HP when it's standard, when it's a set amount of more HP. What I do mind is going through the entire mission campaign in some cases to fight the Rudolph bosses, for example, that you can't do adventure modes for. You actually spend all your time, reset your campaign, and go all the way through. You get to a boss you want to fight, Venom, Cancer, Annihilation, and they have an affix or a modifier that makes the build you want to use do less damage. It's not the boss that makes the build do less damage, it's a random modifier that makes your build that you were amped to use on this boss do less damage. And it's not, it doesn't make it to where I can't kill it. That's like a weird concept, like a weird misconception folks have. They assume, oh, this guy's complaining about these modifiers just because he can't beat them. No, little Johnny, that's not why. I just don't like it when my builds that I have seen them do a lot more damage do less based on a weird little wacky text. Elemental resist, your elements do less damage. Thick skin, you crit less and crit for, you crit less often and you crit for less. Hardy, the boss has more HP, so now you can't compare your kill times. Regenerator, the boss regens HP, you can't really compare your kill times. It's not as realistic. There's like one more. Oh, even empathy. Empathy will mess you up even when you're not using a healing relic. If I'm playing a melee class build, which melee in this game is already not that great, like you can make it pretty strong in some fights, but for the most part, not very good. You're kind of throwing if you're using it. But in my case, I like to play the game differently sometimes, have fun. Empathy, when I prop a relic that doesn't heal me at all, except for, I guess, when I dodge, and instead the main use of it is to give me more stamina, infinite stamina. It's the Quilted Heart, I believe. The boss heals. It's like, bro, I'm trying to pop this and have a good time. But you could just use the bisected ring. You could just chill, okay? Like, listen here, Point Dexter. I could also have the option to not deal with these modifiers that don't make the game more enjoyable, and instead turn them off, but still play on the harder difficulties that I want to play on, that I enjoy playing on. For the longest time, and I will still do this whenever it makes sense, I use the amulet, where I remove pieces of armor and get more damage or take more damage. So I have 0 armor, so I have no armor at all. And I also take more damage, but I also deal more damage. So I get breathed on, and I'm dunskies, bro. The freaking enemies pop a little mint tic-tac, and I'm dead to mint damage. And I'm fine with that. Not a complaint whatsoever. But when I go through an entire campaign, and I get to Annihilation, Venom, Cancer, and I want to use a crit build that's got thick skin, I want to use an elemental build that's got elemental resist, I feel some kind of way. 450 hours, dog. It gets old after a certain point. It gets old really fast too, because I had experience with this as well in Dauntless, and I hated modifiers there too. Like, you're fighting modifiers more than you do the actual behemoth. That's why it doesn't feel good. But in that game, the modifiers were usually set in stone, except in the escalation. But either way, it was still bad. Still bad. So I don't know why it's a crazy far-fetched thing to say, let me turn them on and turn them off without changing my difficulty. I want to play on the hardest difficulty. I just want it to be meaningful. And you can even make it to where you make the affixes harder, because some folks are like, yeah, they're not bad at all. Okay, make them harder. And if you best them, you get rewards, items, whatever, you name it. Who cares? And you have two people now. You have the folks that don't want to face them, the folks that do. And now there's a reward and incentive to face them. The folks that don't want to may opt into it, and they then get more content that they actually sign up for, that they're amped to deal with. But at the moment, all affixes will do in the long run is make it so players enjoy the game less the more they encounter them. And I don't think that's really a good thing. Personally, I think it's actually a terrible thing, a terrible precedent to have going forward. Because I think a lot of people don't even know what they don't even know what affixes really do. Apparently people don't know what Google is, and they don't have the desire to Google some stuff, which is fine, it's fair, I guess. But the moment they all figure out, like, darn, my build's really based on this right here, and this boss right here counters my build, or it makes it do less damage. Counter is just easier to say. It's like when I say counter, I think folks assume that, oh, counter, just so go ahead and swap your builds. I could do that. I don't want to. I've killed these bosses in hundreds of different ways. I just want to use the build I want to use and not have the random chance, which it feels targeted. I swear to God, it feels targeted, but I don't want to have the random chance my build all of a sudden does less damage, because damage is a thing that people chase in games like this. And who wants to spend all this time gathering all these items to use different builds, and the different builds you want to use randomly get freaking like the damage snuffed out? What is that about? Remnant 2 may not understand this, but the builds are the lifeblood of the game going forward. The evergreen content for the gamer, the regular player, and the creator. Everyone in between. And it seems as if they are not aware of this, given how they make so many things. They turn so many things that may be exploits, which nerfing them is completely fine. I respect that highly. But you turn exploitable things from being brokenly powerful to being brokenly boring, which is another problem. And then you just destroy variety. Because instead of nerfing it to the point where it's still viable to a degree, it just becomes useless. ARCHON is a great example. That thing is trash. You can do it for ad clearing, but it's so bad, dude. Super long cooldown. That's a whole different topic, dude. It really is. That's a different time. But yeah, I don't think that affixes are in a good spot whatsoever. I do not think that they're, and plus the way they're going about adding more too, I don't know, man. If we keep getting more and more fixes, it's just gonna get worse. I promise you that. And you'll still have the people saying they're fine, bro, just get better. It's not an issue of skill, dude. It's really not. I know that some people they need Remnant 2 to be arbitrarily difficult so they can maintain this holier than now mentality, because they're mediocre, passably mediocre at a game that other folks find to be a little annoying for these reasons, and they're fine with that because they're weird. So all the weirdos out there that are in that little boat right there, amen. Congrats. Congratulations. It's so annoying, dude. You have these people, you can't have a conversation with them. You can't talk about these things without them saying some nonsense like, just change your build. Just get better. It's like, it's not a problem. Like the problem is I want to use the build and the boss doesn't counter it, the fixes do. And the other problem is, it's not that I can't kill it. I just do less damage and it's boring. It's more boring. Seeing smaller numbers is more boring. Randomly. Random chance. Full stop. That's it. That's all there is to the conversation. That's what bothers me. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Peace. I am pleased to inform you the boss has Elemental Resist, a really fun and engaging affix that makes your build, in this case, do less damage. And I think that's fantastic, you know? Playing Remnant 2, making a build, and a boss can just randomly make your build do less damage. That is peak enjoyability.